Hey everybody, I'm Kim from Sparks Scribe. I'm one of the sponsors of the group, and this is Sam.
Hey, I'm Sam from Jones & Co Advisory. I'm also a sponsor of the group.
So Sam is an accountant. He's a chartered accountant, and he knows everything about NDIS and numbers. So that's really handy because we got a huge response from that post that I put up about fuel prices, which is like a hot topic at the moment. And it's clear that the responses weren't just about petrol. There was a lot of frustration, a lot of confusion. We got almost 600 comments within a matter of days, and we just want to be really clear. This isn't about blaming workers or blaming participants. It's two sides of the same coin. So people are coming at it from two different points of view, and both are valid. So I've got a couple of notes here. I was reading through the comments, and a few things kept coming up. Some people feel like the kilometres rate doesn't cover their real costs. Others feel like it more than covers the cost. Some workers say they're absorbing costs, and some participants are feeling like they're already stretched, their plan's stretched, and it can't take any more. And then there's a lot of disagreement as well about what's fair. And I think one thing that I didn't write down here was the difference between city people and regional people, because the cost of petrol and the availability of it even is quite different when you're outside of the major cities. So there's lots of different realities that are actually sitting side by side. So we just wanted to go through some questions, and hopefully between the two of us we can shed some light on some of the confusion, because travel is something that always confuses people. Have you found that, Sam?
Yeah, absolutely. I feel like a lot of the reason for the different points of view is just because of the complexity of travel. People might have different opinions on travel, but they're talking about two different things. Maybe one's talking about activity-based travel, and one's talking about provider travel. So
Yeah.
hopefully we can clear some of that up today.
Yeah, for sure. Even I was talking to John, who's the owner of the group, earlier today, and we were talking about somebody who made a comment. I'm sorry, I can't remember your name, but they basically were saying it's just a guideline. The 99 cents per kilometre is a guideline. And I was saying, like, no, it's in the guide, it's here. And we both put a snippet of almost the same page. And
Yeah.
actually, no, they were correct. It's not a limit. It's not an explicit limit, that 99 cents. It's a guideline. So in theory, you could be charging $1.50 per kilometre, but it's very vague in that guide. So just to fuel the confusion a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's always good to refer back to the NDIS price guide when these
Mm,
things come up, because you never
yes.
know. Just because everyone's doing it doesn't necessarily mean it's correct. So it's good to
Yeah,
go back to the
exactly.
source.
Yeah, and I definitely learned something because we've never charged over $1 per kilometre within my business, and we're not going to start now. But it was just
Yeah.
interesting that that's how that is. I'll jump in with, we've got 5 questions, so stick around to the end. Also, Sam and I are going to drop a resource in the comments after this, so you do not have to click on it. If you want to have the resource, click on that, put in your email, and you'll get it emailed to you. If you don't want to receive any further emails, just unsubscribe. And if you don't want it at all, just scroll past. So that's a bit of a disclaimer. So we'll start with question one. At a basic level, does the 99 cents per kilometre actually cover the real cost of running a vehicle? What say you, Sam?
So as an accountant, I'm very much a numbers man.
So from the numbers, man, the dollar per kilometre more than covers what it's costing you to get in your car and drive. And are we taking into account the tyres, the wear and tear, all of that as well in that 99 cents per kilometre?
Yes, we are taking into account that. In fact, it more than covers the cost of running a vehicle, because that 99 cents per kilometre is only intended to cover the cost of the work portion that your vehicle is used for. So depending on how much you use the vehicle, um, it covers that.
It'll just cover that. So
Mhm.
it's not designed to cover the 30% of the time that you might be using it for your own personal recreation on the weekend.
No, it's not designed to cover that.
I think that's where some people get confused because, I think they do get confused with that. It's not to cover the whole cost of owning and having the car 100% of the time. It's only to cover the percentage that you're using for work.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, good to know. Question 2. Some people feel like it more than covers the cost, and others feel like it doesn't even come close. So, and I'm sure that as we were saying the answer to that last question, people are like, no, but. So, why do you think there's such a gap in the perception around travel and the costs and the reimbursements? Some people feel like it more than covers the cost, and others feel like it's not even coming close. So, why do you think there's such a gap in the perception around that 99 cents, that dollar per kilometre, that some people think it's heaps, and other people are like, "Oh, I'm leaving the industry. I can't. This is not working for me." Like, where is this coming
Yep.
from?
Yep. That's a good question. Two things. Number one, people have different ideas of what that $1 is supposed to cover. It's really just to compensate for the travel. It's not meant to be a how do I say, income producing activity. It's
Yeah.
meant to just make an allowance for you using your personal motor vehicle.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Another reason, as we sort of mentioned earlier, is they're talking about different things.
Mm-hmm.
One provider might be talking about driving to and from a participant's house. You know, it could be a 1 hour drive
Mm.
and a 1 hour drive back that they aren't getting reimbursed for, or they aren't claiming that travel for. Whereas another provider could be talking about the activity based transport. So while they're actually on shift with the participant, driving to and from an activity.
Yeah, and those are two quite different things, and the compensation for those two things actually comes out to be quite different because not everyone has enough funding in their plan to cover a 1 hour trip each way. Some people might be claiming that, and others might not be, and there could be good reasons for both of those things. So, yeah,
Yeah, and
travel.
and if this isn't clearly communicated to the participant before the support worker starts working with them, it is an area where there's been a lot of confusion. Like the support worker um, might think they've communicated that they will be paid to and from the shift. But then when the participant sees it on an invoice, they might not have understood it the same way. So that's why it's really important that these things are communicated clearly.
I think that probably happens a lot, and I think it potentially stems from both sides not fully understanding, which is perfectly reasonable because it's such a complex document and it's worded in such a vague way that I'm not surprised when people say they don't understand it. So if you don't understand something, how are you going to communicate it in your service agreement? And then, yeah, it can feel like a lot of money coming out of a participant's plan for travel. Uh, and this is not on my list, but so a lot of people say, no one else gets paid to travel to their place of work. What do you think about that?
Yeah, it's something that comes up often for support workers. If you're a support worker and you support multiple participants, then from a tax and accounting perspective, technically you don't have one set place of work. It's each participant is a separate um, workplace.
Right.
So you can actually claim a tax deduction for the kilometres travelled to and from those different shifts. If you are an independent support worker and you only work for one participant, that's a different story though, because then that participant's house would be your regular place of work.
Right. Okay. So that has triggered me on to. I'll skip question 3 and come to question 4. We'll go back to question 3.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of debate around tax and claiming kilometres and deductions and double dipping. Can you simplify what happens here? And is there a perceived double dipping, or Are we getting paid and we're not claiming the kilometres? Like, what happens?
Yeah, so with double dipping, the number one thing that I see coming up with double dipping is a support provider claiming a support provider receiving a reimbursement for a cost that they've paid on behalf of a participant. So they paid for a participant's expense
Yeah.
related to and then they've gone ahead and claimed that payment as a deduction as well. So
Ooh, naughty.
that one, yeah, and a lot of the time it happens without people realizing that it is double dipping,
Yeah.
but that's an issue because you've gotten the reimbursement and then you're claiming it again. So technically, you're claiming double the expense that you're allowed to.
So if I claim 500 kilometres for the year that I've driven a participant for 500 kilometres and I've been paid $1
Mm-hmm.
per kilometre for that, I cannot then claim 500 kilometres at tax time. Say I travelled these 500 kilometres.
That one, it's a little bit different. That's a great question. Um, before we to answer that, we'll discuss the difference between a reimbursement and an allowance. Um, so, a reimbursement is when you have a exact expense. So $10.99 for lunch.
Yep.
If that exact $10.99 is reimbursed, then you don't declare it as income and you don't declare it as an expense because it just cancels itself out.
Yep.
An allowance, on the other hand, is when travel is the perfect example. The $1 that you receive per kilometre is an allowance to estimate the cost of running your vehicle. So the travel allowance, you will need to report that $500 you gained as taxable income.
Mm-hmm.
Um, However, when claiming a deduction, you need to use the ATO's cents per kilometre amount, which is 88 cents for the 2026 financial year.
Okay. So there's a difference there.
Yeah, there's a difference, yes. So you'll essentially be paying tax on that 12 cents difference, yes.
Right. Okay. So you're not paying tax on the whole $500, just the difference of the 12 cents between. Ah,
Yep.
okay.
So you would declare the
Right.
500. Oh, sorry. Yep. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, that's fine. I actually don't do kilometres for work, but so I don't see that side of things at tax time. I see many other different
Yep.
things. Yeah, but for support workers, that's really interesting.
Yeah. And it keeps things simple as well because if you get exactly $1 per kilometer, you will know exactly how many kilometers you've traveled. So how many kilometers you can claim using the cents per kilometer deduction.
Hmm.
So if you've traveled 500 kilometers for work, then you claim 500 kilometers using the ATO's rate.
Yeah, cool. Okay. Right, that was not on our list of questions, but I'm glad we covered it.
Okay.
So it takes me back to question 3. Is it meant to be a reimbursement of cost or is it treated effectively as income? Because I think it changed a couple of years ago. It used to be an allowance and then it became it was no longer an allowance and it became taxable income. Is that correct?
Talking about the travel
Yeah,
allowance.
travel component. Yeah.
Yes, travel that is taxable income. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, I think I've seen in different groups people asking the question like, "Oh, my kilometers have been included in my taxable income and it's been taxed." Like this is all wrong, but actually, no, that's
It
correct.
no, it's correct. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. And the last question: how much of a problem is the actual kilometre rate itself versus things like unpaid travel to and from clients? Is there an issue with the 99 cents, suggested upper limit?
Uh, the 99 cents upper limit, it I would say yes. It essentially covers the cost if done correctly. Um, a lot of the time, as we discussed, due to the confusion, it's not always done correctly or communicated correctly, or people aren't talking about the same thing. That's where um, issues can arise. But the $1 per kilometre, yeah, it's
Reasonable.
reasonable. Yeah.
Okay, it's good to know. I think something that came out of all the comments and when we looked through them was a really good service agreement could put a lot of this to bed. Like a really good service agreement and a sit down conversation where you really make sure that the person understands what we're talking about and they reflect back to you their expectations could solve a lot of the issues that I've seen come up anecdotally. So, yeah, don't just print out the service agreement, hand it over, and assume they've read it because they've signed it. You know, we all sign things without really,
Yeah.
giving it due scrutiny. Everyone's busy, and I think this is one of those things that can be really damaging to the client, the participant and support worker relationship, because it is a lot of money, and trust can be broken like really quickly if the participant does not realise that the 150 kilometres they drove plus the hour you took to get there is going to add up to a huge amount. So it's worth having the conversation before you actually get in the car and drive, I think.
Yeah, the onboarding process is the most important um, aspect of the provider participant relationship. If that's done correctly, it can save a lot of stress and what's the word, disagreement,
Yeah, yeah,
frustration in the future.
yeah, bad feelings.
If things are they're communicated clearly and also documented clearly, and that little bit of extra time is taken to make sure the participants understand exactly what you'll be charging, and even give them some examples, talk them through some scenarios. I've found
Yeah,
has been very effective.
yeah, that's right. And it might result in, okay, so we're going to take a different approach to the travel that we undertake during support. That's okay too, but participants need to have the choice and the information really clearly so they can make that decision for themselves.
Yeah, absolutely.
Great. Well, I think that will probably do us. Thanks everybody who commented on that post. As I said to Philippa in the post, we're going to try and do a few more things like across the month, maybe just once a month, pop a post up, and then try and take some interesting points out and make a quick video just to change the what's happening in the group. Bit of a shake up, something different. And John, who owns the group, and we have been in discussion a lot about what that might look like. So if there are things that people want to talk about, please feel free to drop some comments below. And again, we'll be putting that resource there. You don't have to have it, it's not mandatory, but if you would like to have it, please go ahead and click. So yeah, I'm Kim from Sparks Scribe. I have the app, and obviously Sam is from Jones & Co, and he's your go-to accountant for everything NDIS. So thank you, Sam, for taking the time. It's been good.
No worries. Thanks so much for having me, Kim, and I'm keen to chat more and share more knowledge with the group.
Yeah, awesome, especially coming up to tax time.
Woohoo! Fun times.
All right, bye.
All right. See yous.